Welcome, everyone, to our Prayer Journey Daily Devotion. Today, I want to discuss a little bit about wisdom. Let me read the verse that I have in mind. It's 1 Kings 3:23. And all of Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, this is Solomon, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was with him to do judgment. He was able to be the supreme judge and figure out things that people were trying to deceive him with. Now, a lot of people really don't know all of the stories of the Bible. So I'm going to tell this one quickly about what happened. There were two prostitutes with two babies, and one of the babies during the night had died as the one prostitute fell upon the baby and smothered him to death. So, with that, the next morning, when she realized what had happened, she stole the other woman's baby, and there was a fight about this. And how do you prove whose baby it belonged to? So the elders took it before Solomon to do judgment. Now, Solomon was a new king. Solomon was called to be a king. And Solomon showed so much wisdom right up front because God comes to him in a dream and he says to God, God says to him, "What do you want?" And most people would have asked for riches and this and that. And he asked for wisdom to lead the people. So God grants it to him. And in the book of Proverbs, he writes, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom." So he displays wisdom here because he's in the fear of the Lord. What he says to the woman is that your baby? And she says, "Yes, it is." And then he said to the other lady, "Is that your baby?" She said, "Yes, it is." So he probably went like this for a bit. And then he put on a little acting job. And he called one of his men over and he says, "Go and get the baby and divide it in two." You know, there's a saying I always told my daughters: when you love somebody, sometimes you got to let them go. And the mom who loved that child was willing to give it to the other woman rather than have it divided. But the other woman, she said, "Okay, divide them." She just didn't want her to have what God had given her. So the wisdom went out into the world of how wise Solomon was. Now, I want to show you from this particular verse here how important the Word of God is. In Hebrews 4:12, and I want you to think about that sword that he was going to divide that child with. And think about a spiritual sword that's going to divide your heart. For the Word of God is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing and even dividing asunder of the soul and the spirit. It is the discerner of the thoughts and the intent of the heart. I wish this was in the Bible back when Solomon was king, because it didn't come till the New Testament. Because he could have used that advice. Because he had the fear of the Lord in the beginning, and he lost it. And with it went a lot of his wisdom. And he wound up writing a book. You can read the book if you ever get a chance, but be sure that you're not very depressed state. The book of Ecclesiastes. Because he writes how everything in life means nothing. The good news was at the end he comes to the conclusion there's one purpose for man: to love God and follow his commandments. So let's do that. So until next time, may Jesus increase as we decrease.